afternoon, viewers. Welcome back to your weekly dose of tertiary institution news. My name is Monique Adams, and I will be your host for today. If you want to know more about my zone, watch the following video. Welcome back, viewers. Today in studio we are joined by Mpumzi and Winfidelia, two second-year law students at Triumphant College. We will be speaking about how the youth and how they are taking action to create awareness against gender-based violence. But before we get into discussion, let us have a look at a video that they both created.
I'm Winfidelia and I'm against rape, gender-based violence, human trafficking, and all sorts of abuse.
I am Mpumzi Timde, and I stand against gender-based violence, rape, human trafficking, and all sorts of abuse. Why are you silent?
Women, why are you silent? Now is the time to speak out. Now is the time to fight against gender-based violence, rape, and human trafficking. Speak out. Don't let your voice be shut. This is the time to speak out. Be strong.
Why are you silent? Gentle brothers, why are you quiet? Why do you not empathize with the cries of women and children that go missing every day? People are being raped. Why are you silent? Do you only mourn when the people are related to you? Do you only mourn when the person who died is your own blood and flesh? Why are you silent?
I am calling for the voices of heroes, to speak for the heroes whose blood waters our freedom, so that we may have ours. The heroes who we call mama, auntie, sister, daughter, friend. I am calling on the voices of heroes to speak up against men who promise to protect and serve, men who promise till death do us part. Stop with the promises and do your part. Drop your fist and raise your voice. I am calling for speaking out against gender-based violence. Speak out against femicide and sex trafficking. I am calling on you who say you are heroes.
Scientists.
Do you all live in
My name is Kevin.
I'm Aldo Nuse.
I.
And I'm against rape,
Gender-based violence,
child trafficking,
Human trafficking.
And any other form of human abuse that is out there.
real
Staan baie sterk teen geslagsgebaseerde geweld. Ek staan sterk teen verkrachting, mensenhandel en kindermishandeling.
Women don't rape, real men don't hit women, and child trafficking is just inhumane.
I would like to acknowledge the people that have left us and are still here going through emotional, mental and physical abuse with all these impacts that are making a difference. Een stem kan 'n rebellie begin, maar 'n miljoen stemme kan 'n verandering bring.
Because one voice can cause a rebellion, but a million can make a change.
Break the silence.
Welcome, Mpumzi and Winfidelia. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Moni.
Thank you for having us.
Well, what role would you say advocacy in the fight plays in the fight against rape, gender-based violence, human trafficking? A lot of people would say it doesn't make any difference, just talking about it. So what is your take on that?
Advocacy plays a very important role in the fight against these injustices because as long as you're speaking about it, you're spreading awareness. Pumzi and I had come up with a slogan or a saying which goes that one voice can make a change, but a million voices can start a rebellion. So that just means that one voice is all it takes to start the fight against these injustices. One voice is all we need to spread awareness. So we just believe that as long as you're speaking about it, you're still showing people and these victims that we care and we are aware, we know what's going on. We're not going to give up, and we're going to continue the fight, and that it doesn't just end there. It starts with your voice. Your voice is the most powerful thing you have, and as long as you're using it, it's enough.
Yeah, so to start a discussion.
To start the discussion is all we need.
Look at our freedom fighters from our past. I mean, when they were fighting for apartheid, it took them speaking. They had to advocate. They had to inform each other. They held meetings, small meetings. Although they were illegal, they had them. And that just shows that advocacy starts something, because where they started by informing the community about what is going on around the community.
Yes.
From there, they fought. And look where we are today. We are a democratic country. So advocacy plays a huge role.
Great. So what inspired the beautiful video you guys put together, and what would you say is the main objective of this video?
I mean, we were angry. We still are angry. The objective of the video was advocacy. It was to silence the silent. It was to break it at all costs. We were tired. We wanted people to speak up about what is happening. So we created the video and asked our friends, we asked many people who feel that this is an immoral act, and it's an act which we should resolve now, today, and end killing. We asked people who felt the same, shared the same anger, and we asked them to contribute to the video. So that was the objective of the video. We still aim that the video we want it to make noise. We want everybody to know about what's happening and to stop pretending like this is something that's not happening.
We wanted people to get angry and not just like have something to be angry about in the moment, have something to carry through, not forget. People to always remember that, these things are happening, and they're happening not just to other people, to strangers, they're happening to our own family members, our brothers and our sisters, and not just to female. Human trafficking is not just a female thing, it happens to males too. Rape happens to male too.
Both genders.
It's a both gender, it's not just specified to one gender.
It affects us all.
It affects us all.
So what role do you think education plays in preventing gender-based violence, rape, and all these immortal actions?
Education plays a huge role. Firstly, people need to be educated about consent. Consent is something very important. You need to understand the difference between yes and no. If you need to do something in order to manipulate someone into getting what you want, then you are forcing them into doing what you want. That is not consent at all.
Yes.
That is limiting their freedom.
Exactly. So education, when children are taught from a young age, not only from school, at home as well, you need to be taught there's yes and there's no. So when somebody says no, you need to know that you need to back off immediately.
Yes.
You cannot touch somebody if they say don't touch me. We shouldn't even be joking about that at this time of age. So education plays a huge role.
Education plays a huge role, as he said. We need to educate our children to respect each other and to see equal from a very young age. To look at a boy and be like, okay, this is my equal. There's no way in the world that he's going to be seen as greater than I am just because I am a female. And there's no way that if I say no, because he's a male, he feels like he's obligated to touch my body or to do whatever he wants because he is a male. We need to start implementing into their minds that, no is no, and that I am equal to every other person in the room.
So charity begins at home, basically.
Charity begins at home.
And I also feel like it's important to have a whole subject, sex education.
Exactly.
And I don't know why that isn't being implemented. Do you guys think it's because we're very traditional, or parents, because we're diverse in Namibia.
Yes.
So why do you think that hasn't really been spoken about, or action hasn't been taken?
I think it is because of the diversity. I mean, many parents, let me say, they find it, there are parents that find it necessary and important to talk about it, and there are other parents where they grew up in an age where that wasn't spoken of at all. That's something that you only experience after you've been married. So that's what they know. So they don't feel it's necessary to speak about it and inform their children when we are now in the 21st century, and we are a very intelligent generation. We are blessed with so much that we should be grateful for what they have done for us.
Yeah.
But we are at the stage where these are things that should not be taken lightly, because we have access to these things. They didn't have access to that. Children are being raped every day. So we should be taught about sex education, because there are children that don't even realize that they're being raped. They don't know what's happening because they weren't taught that.
Yeah.
So yes, I think it's because of our diversity, but I feel like it should still be implemented. It should be something that is discussed, especially the life skills subjects that we have at schools.
They should start teaching it from a younger age, grade 1 possibly. Because that's where a child starts to pick up, like, okay, this is wrong and this is right.
Right.
You know, they will know that, okay, I'm not supposed to be touched in this area.
Yes.
I feel like we can avoid these immoral acts if that is educated.
Yeah.
And I feel like we also need to start, as sad as it is that we've gotten to this point, we need to start teaching our children to be able to protect themselves from predators and people who want to take advantage of them. Because nobody wants to raise their child in an environment where they have to teach, like, okay, you know, you don't know who that person is, don't trust them. If they try to approach you, run and scream, you know. But that's what it
The
has
world we're
come to,
living in
you
right
know.
now. Yeah.
And I think there's this one thing that I feel has died out over the years. I mean, I know growing up we were always told, do not speak to strangers.
Yeah.
I feel like that is something that needs to be reintroduced.
Yeah.
I feel like parents are not emphasizing that point enough, because I feel like that's how the child trafficking is kind of happening, because as a child you don't know. So when somebody approaches you, you just go to you don't realize
You don't know
that.
any better. You're very naive.
So I
Yeah.
feel like it should be emphasized, do not talk to strangers. And yes,
And kids of our age are they're very kind, you know. They just see a person and they're like, oh,
extremely-
that's my friend. And even if they've never met them
Yeah.
for 3 minutes, and it's like, it's my best friend. I'll go with him anyway.
So can you tell us a bit more about the Aspiring project? How did it start and what does it entail?
okay, so the Aspiration of Hope initiative, initially it was supposed to be, before it had a name, before it gained its hypothesis and all the things necessary, it was supposed to be a project as Mr. and Miss Triumphant College. So we just wanted to show the college that we were doing something as Mr. and Miss Triumphant. But when we started it
sprung more from like the passion that we both have. We both have we just always had this passion of helping people and fighting for
what's right.
Yeah, for what's right and the rights of people who cannot speak up for themselves. So that's how it like came together. We just took our passion and
also with all the things that were happening around the world, it became too strong to be taken lightly. We decided that no, because the Aspiration of Hope initiative is an initiative that caters for all hurt victims, for victims of all immoral acts. It is an initiative that it basically came because we felt like there was not enough love and hope in the world as of current,
Yeah.
we felt like we need to start something, and as small as the initiative is at the moment, we felt like we need to spread love. We need to encourage people to laugh more, to smile more. You know, there's the Jerusalem challenge that's going on, and yes, that is, you know, encourageful for everybody, but we feel like there's still too much hate,
Yeah.
and people have become selfish. So we felt like even with the little that we have, we should do something
Yeah.
just to show that we care. No matter if I'm walking past a stranger and this is somebody who's homeless now, I mean, it won't hurt just to buy them a piece of bread, you know, or a packet of chips, just something, just, you know.
To give with an open heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it just to it was to show that we care,
Care,
and there's
basically,
still
yeah.
love and hope, and that we can all, if we join together, we can honestly, we can
Make the
become-
change.
Yeah,
Exactly.
be the
Yeah,
change.
be
And
the change.
We also just wanted to but be ready to sacrifice ourselves for other people in light of what was happening, because it came up around the time of stage 1, 2 lockdown,
Yes.
when it was brutally evidence of the Black Lives Matter
Yeah.
and the police brutality and rape.
Yeah.
That's when they were coming up, and it was initially going to first be mainly focused on charity work, but we just decided to like, okay, let's just take everything we love
Yes.
and everything we're fighting for and put
Put
it
it in
together in
one.
one box
Yeah.
and advocate for that.
So how can somebody that's watching the show right now join the fight and aspire hope?
Firstly, the fight against these immoral acts, I feel as a community, we should all speak up. Let's all voice what's happening right now. Let's not speak what I've noticed over these months of all these immoral acts, especially, is that we speak up this week, but then the next week we are very quiet. We pretend like nothing happened.
Yeah.
These are acts that are continuous. The more we are
Ongoing.
silent, the more we encourage these acts. We need to continue speaking up. But as for the Aspiration of Hope initiative,
We will never stop speaking up.
we will never stop speaking up, and we'll never stop caring for people. So for anybody watching, I mean, if you'd like to contribute to the Aspiration of Hope initiative, we donate foods, we donate clothes,
Sanitary kits,
yes,
blankets.
very important, blankets,
We host soup kitchens.
weekly.
Yeah, so where can they catch you guys?
You can find us on Instagram at Aspiration of Hope, and the Facebook page is still coming.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Facebook page is still
But
building.
Instagram, it's at Aspiration of Hope.
Initiative, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming in, and I
Thank you
really
so
love
much.
this interview. It's a really good thing that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Once again, viewers, thank you for joining myself, Winfidelia, and Mpumzi. This week, it's Heritage Week, and we'll be watching the virtual tour at the National Science Museum.
We are going a little bit ahead in time, so we are now at about 200 million years ago. And during this time period, also known as the Triassic, Namibia actually had a lot of dinosaurs living here. This is one example of many dinosaurs that lived in Namibia. And this one was called Mesospondylus. It was a plant-eating dinosaur with a long, slender neck and a long tail. And it could actually walk on its hind legs. Dinosaurs, as you know, are reptilian type of animals. But they did have slightly warm blood, and they were laying eggs like birds. So birds are descendants of dinosaurs. Some of the other evidence that we know that dinosaurs were living here includes footprints of dinosaurs. If you go to a farm called Ochianama Perero, which is located right next to the Omaruru River, you will actually see fossilized dinosaur footprints. Our museum also has a dinosaur dig. This one we brought especially here for the kids. We want the kids to experience what it's like looking for dinosaur bones. So you're going to use some of these tools to look for dinosaur bones in here. And I wonder what we could possibly find. I found something. Ooh, look at this. Oh, what's this? Ah, this is a dinosaur bone. This is a leg bone. Wow. So we are still at around 230 million years ago. And there's one particular place which is near to the place where all these beautiful dinosaur footprints are, which is called Renosterkloof, or the Echo Mountain. And at this Echo Mountain, a lot of fossils were found. And some of them include mammal ancestors. These fossils are also known as cynodonts. And here you can see a tiny skull of one of these animals, and you can also see that it had some good strong teeth to crush its food with, and some very pointy sharp teeth to eat meat. So this wasn't a meat-eating little animal, and it was a mammal ancestor. Now eventually, at some point in time, South America broke away from Africa, and the beginnings of the Atlantic Ocean were forming. So some of the oldest fossils from this time period are some marine fossils, and they include this oyster. Now this oyster tells us a story about the climate of that time, but also the temperature of the water. So we're talking about a tropical climate and very warm water, because oysters love warm water. So our ocean today, the Atlantic Ocean, is very cold. It's one of the coldest oceans. But we found fossils of warm water species, all these different types of sharks along our coast. And that tells us that the early Atlantic Ocean was actually much warmer than it is today. Even this coral. Corals love warm water. So now we're jumping a little bit ahead of time. Why are we jumping ahead of time? We are jumping ahead of time because you don't always find fossils in all the rocks that you look at, right? So some of the age or time periods we haven't actually found fossils. But in Namibia, one of the places where a lot of fossils have been found is in the south, where they were mining diamonds. And I'm going to show you a lot of fossils now that we found thanks to diamond mining. So here are just some examples of fossils from there. And they are these little wiggly structures and structures like that. And they are fossilized traces. Fossilized traces of resting chambers of geckos and lizards or spiders. They are also the fossilized roots of some plants. Here again, you have a fossilized root of a plant. We also have fossilized termite gardens. So we're talking about 10 million years ago with these ones. We also have the fossilized eggs of an ostrich ancestor. This is one of these eggs. This is a real fossil, but it's still breakable, so it's still fragile, and you have to handle it with care. But this egg looks quite different from a modern ostrich egg. Can you tell the difference? This one looks much more round, and this one has an oval shape. And the pores on this egg are very tiny, while the pores on this one are clustered together and they are very big. So what else was living in Namibia around this time period? We had giant ostriches, we had the ancestors of springbuck and giraffes. We also had rhinos living in the south of Namibia about 17 million years ago. And this is the jaw of a rhino, a really old rhino from 17 million years ago. We also had crocodiles living in the Orange River. Look at this. And we found a lot of teeth, fossilized teeth of crocodiles. And then we also had 5 different species of elephants. So some of these elephants' jaws and skulls were found at the Orange River. I can't pick up that jaw, that's too heavy for me, but I'll show you a nice tooth of one of these elephants. So that's a cheek tooth of one of these elephants. You can see the little cusplets. And these teeth can also tell us a story about these elephants. They tell us that these elephants actually liked or preferred eating leaves. Not like the elephants, for example, at the Etosha that love eating grass. Now we have a world famous fossil, which is the fossil of a tiny ape. It's one of the oldest apes ever discovered south of the equator. And it's called Otavipithecus namibiensis. It was discovered in the Otavi mountainland, and unfortunately, we only found the little jaw and some finger bones. But only having a jaw and some teeth and a few finger bones can already tell us a lot about this fossil. What can we learn from this? We can learn what type of food this ape ate. For example, this ape liked eating soft berries and leaves. The fingers of the ape also tell us that it loved climbing trees, that it was a good tree climber. And together with that little ape, we also found the crushed skull of a leopard and the crushed skull of a baboon, a small baboon.
Sadly, guys, the show is over. And charity begins at home. Remember that and make your voice heard. Junior Focus will be published on the 20th of October. The Namibian Tourism Expo will be held on the 4th and 7th of November. 1,000 vouchers are up for grabs. So check the T&Cs.